Today is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, and this is Read Through the Bible.
And we're just going to read one chapter today,
Okay.
Mark chapter 9, which begins with a doozy of a question. Here we go.
All right, here it is. And he said to them, "Truly I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the kingdom of God after it has come with power."
Okay, so maybe it's not a question, it's a statement. But it's a doozy of a statement.
Raises a question in our minds.
Yeah, like...
What is this talking about?
Yeah, there are disciples standing there who aren't going to die until the kingdom of God comes with power. And so he's like, what is that? Like, here it is, and has the kingdom come yet? Here we are 2,000 years later. Are they still alive? And I think the answer to that question comes in what follows. Because the same statement is found in Matthew 16, at the end of 16, leading into Matthew 17. It's also found in Luke chapter 9. Every time the statement is given, the following story is told of the transfiguration. And I think that gives a hint that the transfiguration displays the coming of the kingdom of God. Right? You
with
remember?
Power.
With
Yes.
power.
Uh-huh.
You remember Jesus in the coming said, the kingdom of God is near. And when Jesus reveals himself in all his majesty, the kingdom of God has come. So I think that's the solution to try to figure out what's being talked about here. So there were some standing there, and Peter, James, and John gets to see this wonderful transfiguration of Jesus. Verse 2, and after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became radiant, intensely white, as no one on earth could bleach them. And what I like to talk here is about E.T. You remember E.T.? Like there was something glowing in him that went through his skin, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening with Jesus. It's like the deity, which was shrouded by his humanity, was finally breaking through so that he glowed so much that his clothes became so radiantly white.
Like the Shekinah glory.
Yes. And there appeared to them Elijah with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. And Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah." For he did not know what to say, for they were terrified. Rightly so. And a cloud overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." And suddenly, looking around, they no longer saw anyone with them, but Jesus only.
I've often wondered, how did they know that it was Moses and Elijah?
I've wondered that same question,
Like they
too.
didn't have photographs.
Maybe they had name tags.
Maybe.
Hello, my name is...
Okay, verse 9.
And they didn't have pictures, they didn't have painting, they didn't know.
How would they know?
I don't know.
Somehow they knew.
Yeah,
Somehow they
there's
knew.
more
It was
conversation
clear.
going on, right?
Yes, right. Verse 9. And as they were coming down the mountain, he charged them to tell no one what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. Ooh, there's a little
hint
glimpse there.
of the resurrection coming.
Yeah. So they kept the matter to themselves, questioning what this rising from the dead might mean. And they asked him, "Why do the scribes say that first Elijah must come?" And he said to them, "Elijah does come first to restore all things. And how is it written of the Son of Man that he should suffer many things and be treated with contempt? But I tell you that Elijah has come, and they did to him whatever they pleased, as it is written of him."
Referring to John the Baptist, probably. Yep. Who came in the spirit and power of Elijah. And when they came to the disciples, they saw a great crowd around them that is coming down from the mountain. And this happens, by the way, in all the gospel accounts as well. When they come down from the mountain, they encounter this scene. And the scribes arguing with them. And immediately all the crowd, when they saw him, were greatly amazed and ran up to him and greeted him and asked him, "What are you arguing about?" And someone from the crowd answered him, "Teacher, I brought my son to you, for he has a spirit that makes him mute. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast it out, and they were not able." And he answered them, "O faithless generation, How long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him to me. And they brought the boy to him. And when the spirit saw him, immediately it convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, how long has this been happening to him? He said, from childhood. And it has often cast him into the fire and into water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. And Jesus said to him, if you can, all things are possible for one who believes. Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, I believe, help my unbelief. And when Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, you mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. And after crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out, and the boy was like a corpse, so that most of them said, he is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he rose. And when he had entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, why could we not cast it out? And he said to them, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer.
Okay, verse 30. They went on from there and passed through Galilee, and he did not want anyone to know, for he was teaching his disciples, saying to them, the Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him. And when he is killed, after 3 days, he will rise. But they did not understand the saying and were afraid to ask him. So there he's clearly predicting his death and resurrection again.
Yep, and I think just put a little number 2 beside it right here. 8:31 says this. 9:31 says this. And we're going to see it in 10, 31, 32, 33, something like that. But kind of close. And this is his prediction number 2. They didn't understand. And they came to Capernaum. And when he was in the house, they asked him, what were you discussing on the way? But they kept silent, for on the way they had argued with one another about who was the greatest. And he sat down and called the 12. And he said to them, he's going to address this issue, who's the greatest. If anyone would be first, he must be last of all and servant of all. And he took a child and put him in the midst of them. And taking him in his arms, he said to them, whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me.
Verse 38. John said to him, Teacher, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he was not following us. But Jesus said, do not stop him. For no one who does a mighty work in my name will be able soon afterward to speak evil of me. For the one who is not against us is for us. For truly I say to you, whoever gives you a cup of water to drink because you belong to Christ will by no means lose his reward.
Verse 42, whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a great millstone were hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea. And if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life crippled than with 2 hands to go to hell, to the unquenchable fire. And if your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life lame than with 2 feet and be thrown into hell. And if your eye causes you to sin, tear it out. For it is better for you to enter the kingdom of God with 1 eye than with 2 eyes to be thrown into hell, where the worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. Like, Jesus spoke about hell more clearly than any other writer in all the Bible.
Wow.
For everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good, but if the salt has lost its saltiness, how will you make it salty again? Have salt in yourselves and be at peace with one another. Whatever that means about salt, I'm not exactly sure. Okay, in chapter 9, by way of summary, we have the transfiguration and then the boy with the unclean spirit that the disciples couldn't cast out. Jesus did for them. Prediction number 2, talk about the greatest, and then this section here. Well, you summarized this really well. What did you say in terms of?
I said drastic means to fight temptation.
There you go. Drastic means is what's being talked about here.
Yeah. Like do whatever it takes.
Yep. Okay, sounds good. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.